Hey guys, welcome to this live session, question and answer period with the pattern trader. My name is Mark Shawzin, the pattern trader. Be happy to take your guys' questions. I think the theme of the day is low volatility. So, we've been fed this steady diet of monster moves, whether it be gold or the yen or the pound New Zealand or, the NASDAQ. And now you're starting to see, a compression where the volatility is starting to come down. And this to me is my worst nightmare. I'm not a kind of guy who's looking to snatch a few pips here or there or a dollar here. I'm looking for, markets that make a move from one level to the other. And so when you go into these sideways environments or these environments where, there's not a lot going on, this is like kryptonite to me and perhaps a lot of traders. And so to me, it's really important to, obviously look at your trade setup, evaluate the risk reward, find the pattern, find the trend, find the, all of the things that you look for in a trade. But then there's always that, external other factor. And I don't think a lot of people think about that. And that's called environment. Sometimes just the environment changes. So the same analysis that you applied to, lift and you saw the double bottom and it worked 2 months ago, if you see the same thing now, because the environment has changed, it may not work. And so that doesn't mean your strategy or your approach is not working. It just means that the environment, is, getting a little, quirky, where you're just getting this, back and forth kind of stuff. It's not to say there's not going to be, moves or, money to be had. It's just a lot harder. So, the way to handle that is to kind of decrease your trading. Don't trade as much. Decrease your lot size. Decrease your risk. So, you got to recognize the environment. So if you guys have any questions or, you'd like to chat about, any markets that you're looking at, let me know. I see people are on YouTube, but I don't see them in the live chat. And I'm just wondering if there's something that I need to do. But I don't see you guys populating in the live chat box just yet. But I see there are people watching on YouTube. So we've got Mustafa. So Mustafa, welcome. Lovely to see you too, always. I don't know if Ference, how are you? Chris, good to see you. So I was just doing a bit of a preamble, on how I think, I'm seeing the environment changing, that, it's becoming a lot more range bound. And certainly that would be my expectation in the stock market. So the stock market has gone straight up. It can't keep doing that. But it doesn't mean that it's also a sell. So what is the other option? The other option is that it becomes a grind. And, we don't get things going up. We don't think you get things going down. And, these environments you got to be very careful of. Because I was saying you could see the same setup that would be productive in another environment. And in this environment, it does nothing. And it doesn't mean your methodology is wrong. It's just the environment, has changed up a little bit. So I've been, talking about being short Zooms. Zoom's been trapped in this trading affair between 320 and 335. We're at the bottom end of the range. And this was a high beta stock, a high volatility stock. And now it's just gone to sleep. It's trading in it did go lower, I guess, this morning. It's just trading in this range bound thing from 315 to 320. And so Patrick says, any comments on Australian dollar, US dollar? Let's check on what the dollar is doing today. I think the dollar is in an overall weakening phase. The dollar long term is going down. But we hit a major support level. From that support level, we got a bounce. And now I anticipate maybe even the dollar goes into a range, but I think the dollar is always going to be in a range downward. So any move higher in the dollar, you should short it, meaning that anytime the Australian dollar or US dollar goes lower, buy it. And so that's, I would look at, more of a long-term approach. You need to be long Australian dollar, US dollar. But, you also need to be mindful that it could do nothing for weeks, 3-4 weeks. It could just keep bouncing up and down. And so you need to kind of have a, more of long-term approach. Look, you're paying the swap fees while you're holding this thing. So sometimes you've got to counterbalance that thing. But Australian dollar versus US dollar is going higher. It's just as simple as that. Godson wants to know about the yen crosses. So I do think that the yen hits a major resistance level in the euro yen. It's right around where that comes in, intersects right on a long-term 12-year chart. And we reversed higher. We got to a high of, what was the high on this? About 131. I was kind of looking for maybe 132. But, we got to 131 on the yen, and now we're, looks like we're going to reverse on the week. I mean, we still got 2 days to go for the week, so it's going to be interesting to see how the euro yen closes for the week. But I think that this is an area where this could be a major opportunity to get short, certainly in relationship to dollar yen. So dollar yen hit the upside of this sawtooth triangle for 5 years. It's just been going, in a sawtooth. It has a common low around 102 on the dollar yen, and then every bounce is subsequently lower than the last bounce. And, we got to about 111 on this bounce, which was a hair shy of the last high around 112. But now it looks like, we've exhausted ourselves on the upside. And if that's the case, then I know exactly where dollar yen is going to go. It's going to go back to 102. But this time, I think a lot of the bounces have been taken out of it. So we could see a move under parity, under 100 on the dollar yen in the not too distant future. So dollar Canadian is getting crushed. This is something that I think is in a long-term downtrend. I would certainly get short you. So the dollar is going down. The long-term trend of the dollar, and when the dollar turns, as it did last year, it turns, it goes in one direction or another for 5 to 10 years. So I think we're 1 year into, what will be a 5 to 10 year downtrend in the dollar. Dusan says, where is the Dow going to turn? I try not to pick tops. The market usually tells me. I think we're close to a high in these indexes, but I think as I discussed yesterday, I think the Dow Jones is going to be the new NASDAQ, meaning that's where you're going to, if you're trading the stock market and if you're an investor and a more long-term investor, you want to look at some very unsexy names, cyclicals, industrials. That's the sector that I think will hold up now. Then the S&P, and then there's just the dogs of the NASDAQ that, I think, are, despite whatever the environment, they're just going to go lower. The Pelotons, the Zooms, the QuantumScapes, they're just going to keep grinding lower. But, I think the Dow is the strongest component right now of the stock market. And so whether it still goes up or not, to me, think of a plane. I mean, we talk about all of the stimulus, all of this growth. We talk about this massive, GDP that we're looking at in the United States, maybe 7-8%, this quarter. The reopening, the consumers got so much money. So this has been the horsepower that's been fueling the stock market. But think of it as a plane. That's, one of these, acrobatic things where it gets all this power and it's going. eventually, despite how many rocket boosters it's got on there, whatever power that it comes from its jet engines. Eventually, when it goes straight up, it starts losing the ability. There's nothing more to keep powering it higher. So now, I think this is the most fully invested U.S. households have ever been in the market for 50 years. So households are already in there. People are already in there. The fuel's already in there. The stimulus is already in there. So you got to say to yourself, what is going to keep powering this thing? And eventually it's just going to lose altitude. When that's going to stop, I don't know. The charts tell us. I don't think we're too far away. So I think we could, just grind at the top here for a while before a massive sell-off. So it's just a grinding affair right now. The markets are just grinding. And so sometimes these are just markets that you just need to stay out of. Just wait until, even if you miss it, a few things, just wait to see how the history, plays out here. When it comes to the stock market, like I said, I'm short Zoom. I come in short Zoom every day. I take a nibble at shorting more. Eventually it's going to break. I don't know when that is. And, I thought maybe Lyft, LYFT, it's trading in this area where there seemed to be some support. I'm going to be interested to see how we close. Right now it's looking pretty bad. We're at this major area of support. And, right now it looks like even that's looking bad. So, Kirby says, I got a pop on MIDD. I don't know what that is. Yeah, well, whatever that is. It's probably some news came out, or I don't know if you're trading the earnings, Kirby, but it's a funky looking chart. Dusan, you're welcome. So, let me know what's on your mind. Let me know what you're trading. Let me know what Safarin says. I had to flip my AMD calls because of ASM. So AMD, let's check that out real quick. Yeah, it's in this funky trading range. So they bought another company. Okay. DNN. Zorab wants to know DNN. That's a dollar stock. I have nothing to say about this. So what other stocks are you looking? Cyprian, are you around? You usually look at some interesting stocks. Kirby says, thanks, Mark. You got me pattern thinking. So yeah, Kirby, to me, it's a function of a trend or a pattern. What I'm trying to do is always say, okay, what is the trajectory? I'm always looking to take a piece of the next move. And sometimes there's a counter trend. So, like Zoom, I think is going to go lower, but there was all kinds of support at 300. And then you have a counter trend move from 300 to 340. And I'll take those too. I mean, I will buy Zoom if I see that there's a little setup that, is going to give me a pop. So I'm always kind of looking at where, is the next trajectory. Am I looking for a bigger move? Am I looking for a counter trend move? So it all comes down to first assessing what is the trend, of whatever instrument I'm looking at. And Zoom, has been trending lower, but then it's also been creating this huge, topping pattern. So it's been doing both. Zoom's moved from $588 to $300. So it's clearly in a downtrend now, but it's also creating this huge, massive pattern that suggests that, it's just going to collapse once, it gets under 300. Stefan says, I'm looking at ENB. Yeah, this one looks pretty interesting. Just going to put up a yearly chart. Yeah, I like this. It's got a great weekly double bottom. I like this a lot. ENB. You may have to be patient. It's obviously trading lower than its pandemic high around 43, and it looks like it's going to go and get that at some point. So Cyprian's looking at Neo. Yeah, I mean, this thing looks like it's eventually going to go lower. But it's kind of an area of support here. You could still get another pop to $40. It looks like it's going to take its time and then probably go lower. Okay, interesting, Kirby. That's an interesting play. Kirby bought a butterfly spread with 40 days out. I don't know if that's going to give you enough time. Alex wants to know about Netflix, NFLX. Announced some earnings, announced kind of disappointing, I guess, subscribers, whatever. I don't really care why. Again, the reasons why don't really matter. We have a key reversal here, but Netflix is inherently still a strong looking chart here. It's just in this massive consolidation. Maybe this 550 is a massive resistance level and could give way, but I don't know. I don't think there's much to do in there. That sounds great, Kirby. Mohammed wants to know about Ethereum. So they've come off a little bit. I've talked about these coins, these alt markets, very difficult to evaluate. Kind of need more history. I mean, the pattern is still higher. You still got higher lows and higher highs, so it's just somewhat parabolic. I guess you did have a pullback and you retested the 1500 and then you went and made new highs. So probably I don't know. This, it's probably a buy here. I don't know. I just can't get myself to buy them. I don't know why. I guess they are becoming more mainstream. Yeah, so the path of least resistance is higher, and Ethereum probably is the place to be because at least it has some utility. Farron says, where is your neckline level on lift? So I did buy some lift calls yesterday that expired at the end of this week, some $61 calls, and it's looking like crap now. Frankly, it's got this this support. There's a key reversal at about 58.5, and then yesterday you had a bit of a pop off the 58 level, and I don't like this little inside bar today. It's looking like it's it's running out of steam. Yeah, just the long-term chart looks higher, but the short term is starting to really lose altitude. So I'm likely going to lose some money on that. So Kirby did the 270, 250, 230. So what did you do? Just exactly, did you buy the call, sell the puts? Let me know what you did there, Kirby. Looks pretty interesting. Yeah, so it's really just a nothing day here. NASDAQ looks like it's, popping higher. So that's why, I will short something. If I think the market's made a top, like I did 2 months ago, I just didn't feel like we're at a top yet. I feel like we are at a top, but I think it needs much more building back and forth. I want to see some kind of giant key reversal, makes a new high, closes on the low, and we just kind of rolled over from the top. Now we're kind of looking like we're going higher. And I think the next move, if we make one more high, then I'm likely to be more excited. So I just can't get excited in here. I know it just feels like it's going to be a grind. Everything that looks like something is going to look like something else tomorrow. I'm just going to write that down, Kirby. It looks pretty interesting. So you bought the 270 put. You wrote two 250 puts. And you bought the 230 put. Interesting. Interesting. I'll check it out. So what does the stock have to, what does the stock have to go to in order to get the maximum profit? So yeah, there's just not a whole lot to say today. I'm looking at these yen pairs lower. Selectively, everything is kind of jammed up. Everything is just a grind right now. There's just nothing that looks, dollar Canadian looks like an easy ride lower. Gold is breaking out, and I think gold could have a move to 1850. So you probably need to own some gold. So Patrick was looking at, so XAU, Patrick Gold. So did put in a double bottom at that 1670, a couple weeks ago. And I think the next move is to 1850 on gold, 1830. Godson says, are you comfortable being short euro? No, I got on my short euros a while ago. I think that the dollar's going lower, so it means the euro's going higher. We're just trapped in the zone between 118 and 123, and we're likely to just bang around that zone for quite a bit. But I would buy any pullback. So meaning that sell the dollar on rallies. So if the dollar rallies, you buy euro on pullbacks, you buy Australian on pullbacks, buy pound on pullbacks. So I think the dollar's going lower. So that means all of these other currencies are going to go higher over time. Phil says, I shorted CAD yen yesterday. That would be the last of the yen pairs that I'd look at, Phil, because the Canadian is relatively strong too. I'd rather, first my priority would be short dollar yen. Then euro yen looks like it's, setting up pretty, interestingly too. Jim wants to know LMT. Betwixt and between. Doesn't look like a buy or a sell. Probably go into a range here. Phil, you're welcome. You can buy it as a package. Interesting. All right, I'll check that out, Kirby. You're welcome, GM. Let's see if I missed anything. So Patrick wanted to know about PD. Difficult to tell. It looks like it's like, in a way, it's a head and shoulders, but it's also hugging this uptrend line. So, I don't know. You could even have a pop higher out of here, but I don't know. There's nothing that's that exciting right now. It just looks like, yeah, just everything looks just very range bound. I mean, that could change by the end of the day in this market. So Tesla, it's going to be very interesting to see where Tesla closes today, because right now we're sitting right on this breakout area at 720, and you've got these two key reversals, in the same area where you went down to, the 705 area, and I don't know. I'm going to be very interested to see where Tesla closes here. Right now, it's looking like it's at the high of the bar. Let's see what happens by the end. It's a long day to go. So, I think Tesla is also struggling. Tesla is flat for the year after being up like 700% last year. You're making exactly 0% on Tesla this year. So, for instance, what do you think of CrowdStrike, CRWD? That looks higher. Looks like it's going to go higher. It's in an uptrend. You've got a key reversal higher today. So again, really locked in a trading range that could just, bang around here. Yeah. I think for now, the path of least resistance is higher. There's obviously, some resistance above 223, but probably in the near term. So Phil, I talked about the Australian US. I think it's in a long-term uptrend. Just buy the dips and put your stops wide. So look for your seven. Says, is it better to have one trading account or two? Well, so there's maybe two responses I have for that. You may have two with two objectives. So the one, you're really trying to make big money, by having longer term objectives where you'll short Zoom now at 320 and look for like 275. And if it takes 3 months to get there, then that one account, you're just kind of doing stuff that you think is going to work for over the long thing. And then if you want to have a bit of fun, put some play money in one. Don't put stuff that, is going to hurt you. You can do that. Now, there's also in the United States a good reason to have two FX accounts. The United States, they don't allow you to hedge. So sometimes if I'm long like pound New Zealand and I see it's going to get to a tough area, like I got to 198 a couple of weeks ago, instead of getting out of my core long position, I'll just put a short position against it as a hedge. But you can't do that in the United States. They don't let you hedge. So if you want to do that kind of strategy, you have to have two accounts. So that would be the reasons why I would have multiple accounts. Now, I have multiple accounts for another reason, is that I don't want to put too much money with one broker and be exposed if something happens or whatever. So I have my money all over the place with multiple brokers. And so that's another reason. So it really depends why you want to set up another account. But if you're just going to, just keep doing the same thing in two different accounts, that doesn't make sense. Alex says, thanks, Mark. I love your explanations. Yeah, it's hard to kind of visually express things. This is not a platform where I can share my screen. If you want to see me share my screen, I do webinars quite often. I'll let you know when the next one is. So I try my best in this kind of give and take format. Mustafa says, I'm still short QuantumScape and we'll keep it short until $20. I think you'll see it. Trading at $32 now, down from 41 when we were looked at it just a week ago, Mustafa. So it's taken a 30% haircut already, and just getting ready for the next level down. Yeah, Lyft is really kind of disappointing me, and I'm going to lose some money. I bought some calls yesterday on the feeling that we'd hit a level that we could hit some support. And right now it's just dribbling lower. So Dylan says you need SteamYard. Yeah, you said that before, Dylan, and I'm going to make a note of that. I'm not the technology guy in this. I'm going to tell my team to look at it. Thanks for that, Dylan. I'll check it out. Phil wants to know about Euro Pound. So I think that this is kind of in a stealth up market too, but it's a bump and grind kind of thing. So I would kind of leave that alone right now. Do I think it's going to go to 83? I don't know, maybe. I mean, this is kind of look like alternatively like a top or like, I don't know. I can't do anything in here right now. No. It may go down there, but it's not going to be easy. So, again, I like to see things where, like, Mustafa's short QuantumScape, because we were talking about it last week in a webinar where I showed the pattern was fully mature, it was fully developed, and it was sitting on this thing, and it was just ready to go. Now, that's kind of the challenge, to find those charts and those patterns. And, as I say to my members, it doesn't happen every day, every week, every month. But if we just find one QuantumScape, 3 times a year, then you can make a whole lot of money. But, most people's trading mentality is, I'm not going to wait 3 months for a trade. I want to do stuff now. I'm sitting here 3 hours. I want to be engaged. I want to do something. I want to justify my time. And that's really the problem. I think that's why people lose. You got to look, so I've kind of reprogrammed myself based on what my objectives are. So, my objectives used to be having fun and trying to dart in and out of the slipstream, with the 15-minute charts, see a head and shoulders, try and grab. But then I just realized it was a self-defeating process. It was a stressful process. You had to be constantly engaged. And, and then I got very frustrated because I said, why am I see the big picture, and yet, I'm losing so much money in these certain environments or certain things where I'm just playing around. And so, in the last 3 months, I've had 3 monster trades going long lift from 46. It went to 67. I bought puts in the NASDAQ when the QQQs were 334 and it dropped to 300. And then last week I did something in QuantumScape where I bought the put options and the stock collapsed. So, in 3 months, I've made over 7 figures on 3 trades. So, but I'm still here trying to force things, trying to see things. And now, I've learned I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to look for some chart and try and, I'm short Zoom, and whenever it goes, it's just going to have to go. And I'm not going to force it. I'm not going to start looking at other things. I'm not. So, you just have to wait for the market to come to you. You can't chase the market. You can't just revenge trade it. And, in certain environments are different than others. Right now, it's just a bump and grind affair. Every day is the opposite of the next day. So you just have to kind of wait it through. And I've had 3 big trades that are going to hold me over. So, if it takes another whatever, but, look, I look at so many instruments. There's always some opportunity. It's just right now, you just feel like the volatility is being sucked out of everything. So Mustafa, that's the beauty of being an elite member. I saw the QuantumScape here in 4 days together, and then, from the email. So I send out a daily email for our elite members. That's what Mustafa's talking about. Wakamel says, is it wise to open 4 or more trades in one pair, or just enter 1 and 3 trades with the same volume? So I do add to my positions, Wakamello. My justification for adding is always the same. So it starts with the pattern. And then if the pattern starts valid, if it starts moving in the cadence of what you're looking for, and then, you get the key reversal, or you get an inside bar, or you get something where you can see, hey, I could add here, I can understand what my risk is on the add, then I keep adding. Um, Obviously, the more you add in the direction, the last add, the objective is not going to be the same as the first entry. So, but yeah, you can add, in the, I, I'll often show a graphic of a trade I did, I think it was 2 years ago now, in dollar yen, where I saw dollar yen at 111.61. And my objective was the absolute lows of that triangle, which was around 104. So I had like a, 700 pip objective in mind. And then as it started descending from that 111.71, I added again at 110.75 and added again at 108.70 and added again at 107.60. But as I was adding, my last add, was getting closer and closer to my take profit. And I ended up making like 6 trades in the direction of that trend over the course of 3 months, and took 600 grand out of that market. So, I will add, to a trade that's, keeps, it looks like it's going to keep moving in that same direction. Maybe gold is that thing now where, you need to buy gold now. And then if it, has a little consolidation, a little thing, and then you see a key reversal, then you can add to your position, in that way. So it all starts off with, hey, is this thing really reversed? Is this, and I think this is where my strategic advantage is. Like, with QuantumScape, I had 500 people on a webinar last week, and I said, look, this thing is cooked. I can't see any risk in this thing, and then you get in wherever it was, like trading at $41. And then, it made a move down to 37, had 2 inside day bars. Then there was another opportunity to add, under 35. And so I will keep adding, once I feel confident that I know the pattern and the direction, then you can kind of understand the trajectory, and you keep adding or layering it, like Australian US. I think you could do that also. It's going to go higher, and then it's going to, have different, entry points where you can keep adding to your position. Thank you for that, Mustafa. Appreciate it. So yeah, I mean, and that's how you make huge money in the markets. But most people think if they trade in and out 5 times a day, scalping 15 pips here or 7 pips there, that's not the same as adding. So again, I try and find trades where the horse is just about to leave the barn, like QuantumScape, where the pattern is so mature and you understand the pattern, and then it's just about to break from one level to the other. Now, some are harder than others, like Pound New Zealand. I saw the double bottom at 185. I said in my mind, this is bottom, but I also knew that it was going to take a while for this thing to take off. So I started getting in at, the low 190s. And then for 2 weeks, it just, went nowhere, back and forth, 300 pips up and down. And then one day it just moved from, 193 to 196. So, sometimes when you find those early things, it may take the market a while to catch up to what you're seeing. And I think I still have difficulty with that. It's like, being at, the traffic light. So if you're the first car and the thing turns green, you can go. But if you're 12 cars back, even though you see the light turn green, you've got to have all of those 12 cars kind of move out of your way so that you can get going. And that's kind of what, the markets are. Sometimes I'll see a signal, I'll see a, reversal, a pattern. And then I think, man, I got to just get on this. I see it and whatever, everyone's going to see it. And I get in, and I'm usually too early. And then it just takes a while. If something's going to reverse, that's why this NASDAQ, even though it's at a major top, is not going to just drop out of the sky. It needs to build something in order to, allow it to fall. And so that's why I haven't bought puts. That's why I haven't been active. It just needs, a little bit more time. So, but the thing is, if you can catch something early, And that's really what I try to. I think that's really my strategy. I try and find these patterns where it's going to move from one direction to the other, and I can get in right as it's about to make that move. And typically, I'm pretty good at that. And so I'll get in a first thing there. And then if the market starts to confirm, hey, this is doing what you think it's doing, like dollar yen, a couple of years ago when I shorted 111.61, it went through my price and then I never saw my price again. It just kept going down. And then there was a place where, it settled out and gave me a key reversal. And then I knew just by it was starting to respond to what my analysis was. And so I just kept adding in something that I knew had to go from 111 to 104. I shouldn't say I know, that's pretty arrogant, but that's what the pattern was showing me. And so, those trades don't come along. They come along, 2-3 times a year where you get something and then, it takes 3-4 months, to get to its destination. So by definition, there's only 3 or 4 of those a year. And that's really what I look for in my trades now. More and more, I just want to hone in on things that I can feel comfortable actually sitting in, and that's what you should say to yourself. If you get in this trade, are you going to be comfortable like Zoom? I don't know what it's up and down every day and, it's bouncing around in this thing. I've just taken this thing that I'm in. I don't think it's going to go back to 335. And however long it takes to get through this grind, I'm just going to stick it out. And then once it starts coming out, if it goes to 310, 305, I'm going to keep adding to my trade, in the cadence of, consistent with what I'm looking at. And so, Zoom it's just unchanged right now. It's not doing anything great. I'm going to be very interested to see where Lyft closes today. So if Lyft can close well, if it can keep going down to that 59 area, that 58.50, if it closes well today, I might even buy some more calls. I'll see what happens. I'd like to see this thing close closer to 61. And if it does that, then I think, we've got a really good area of support here. It may just take another week, so I may buy next week's calls depending on how we close today. So I just want to see, I'd like to see if we get a strong close here, Lyft has got a hell of a lot of support at this $59 area. So that's something, I'm gonna want to see. If we can close close to 61, then I think this thing could be, could be really good. And we went lower and we're starting to percolate now. So we still got 4 hours to go. And if this thing closes well, I'm gonna buy more calls for next week. The timing on the QQQs was off the charts, Kirby. I was doing one of these Friday master pattern trader sessions. This is where, every Friday at 11 a.m. I get together with members, and I, graphically go through on the charts everything that, I'm looking at, going forward. And it was on that session, I kind of was analyzing the QQQs and the NASDAQ. And there were 5 different bear patterns on the QQQs. 5. There was an ascending broadening price pattern. There was a double top. There was a head and shoulders, and there was an island top. And, I was going through this. And when I got off that webinar, I guess I did such a good job of explaining it that I kind of, hypnotized myself. And then, I kind of went crazy and dumped almost like $100,000 in the puts for the following week. And which meant that, again, with, options, you have to be correct in your timing. I thought I was correct in my insight, but then you have to also be correct that it's going to happen. And I bought the puts very far away, and my thinking was, even if the market gets a good fall, then, Monday, Tuesday, that, I'll get a pop. And maybe I can get out 50, 100% or something like that. And then, over the weekend, I kind of said to myself, what did you just do? You dumped $100,000 in there. And then you're second guessing yourself. And then Monday comes, and then the market dumps, and then Tuesday, and then it dumps right through my strike price. When I put it on, the QQQs were trading at 334. I bought the 320 puts, and by Tuesday it went to 310, which meant the puts that I paid $1 for went to 10, 1,000% in 2 days. And I made a lot of money. And then the next week I rolled forward and I did the same thing. So those are the opportunities that you wait for. And I'm telling you, this lift could be another one. We get a good push today. We get a good close today. I'm kind of excited to see how LYFT closes today. I mean, if we just close here, it's going to be a non-event. I'd like to see it close above yesterday's close, which I think was around 60.80. It was 60.85. So, let's see how we go. Bolshevik, what is the ticker for Barrick? I should know it. Just give it to me. I'll take a look at it. Gold. Okay. Should be easy enough. Yeah. Yeah, I think we could be looking at him. Barrick looks so... I don't know yet. Did you have a big gap from 83 to $12 or something on Barrick? Is that a good gap? I don't know what to think of gold. Short term, I think you could get a pop. Long term, I think it's going to be hard to get through those highs at 1900, 2000. But I think, look, the path of least resistance in gold right now is higher, and probably go to 1830 on this ride. So yeah, I mean, I think you're starting to see, SLV, which is the silver ETF, looks like it's pointing in the, so everything's pointing, the path of least resistance in these metals now is north. So Phil says there's an index in the UK that's reached an all-time high. So just because it's an all-time high doesn't mean you should, short it. The market will tell you when you can short it. Like it told me to short the QQQs a couple of weeks ago. There were several patterns and price action, but if something's still pointing higher, you can't just. It's like standing in front of a freight train. Wait until the market tells you, and even if you miss the first little increment, you're probably better off just waiting. So just because something is at an all-time high, doesn't mean it's just going to roll over. It could also do nothing and just go sideways here too. What else is going on? Yeah, so IBM is just I don't know what to think of. That's into some real. So IBM's had this cadence of lower highs for a long time, and I see this double bottom, and I saw it, and I'm kind of pissed. I did buy it a couple of times, and then I lost money, and then I kind of lost interest, and then I saw it curling around under 125, and now it's going to be very interesting. It's got this cadence, and I've got to go back a long time of these lower highs. So this graphic, let me see where this would intersect. We're not too far away from this major downtrend line that's been in force and effect. So we're not too far away. It probably comes in around 150, high 140s, 150, and we're at 142. So if you can take out that cadence of lower highs, still not convinced it can do that. But yeah, we're at getting to be an interesting inflation. But I'm just pissed that I missed the move from 128 to here, because I saw it, I wanted to jump on it, and then I just forgot about it. It really, that one pisses me off. So yeah, but if you haven't bought it here, maybe there's $5 left on the table, but there's going to be some heavy resistance at that. But if it breaks through that resistance, we may be in new territory for IBM. I just think it'll have to do some work before it gets there. So yeah, watch Lyft, guys. I think it was about 59.80 when we started talking. We're about 60.30. It's a small move, but if we can close, close to 61 today, I would buy that. I'm long the calls, so full disclosure. I looked like this morning I was going to take a bath, but if we can close strong today and then get a push into tomorrow, maybe I can make some money. And then I think if we close strong today, then I'm going to buy the calls for a week forward. So we'll see. And maybe I should do that now in anticipation of that. I just want to, I'll get off and I'll check out the price action. So let's see. Next week's calls. 61s are $1.50. So like the 62s are $1. They're not too bad. Pretty low volume in them. So I'm going to wait to see how we close today on LYFT. Otherwise, again, for options, you need the market to move. And the worst thing is to get this drift where you just bang sideways. So, I think Lyft will eventually go higher, and there's going to be an earnings, I think in early May 12th. I have to check when the earnings are for Lyft, and I'm going to probably buy calls before that event in anticipation of a push out of those earnings. So that's probably the better time to look at it. And I knew, I should have just waited, saved my powder, and wait, until early May to start lifting up, So, and then the more, it kind of bangs back and forth by, May, if the earnings are good, then you can, push out of this consolidation phase. All right, guys. Thanks once again for checking in. I hope you guys have a great trading day. And yeah, I'm just, there's not a whole lot on my radar right now. I've got Zoom short, and I've got some calls in Lyft, and I'm going to be really interested to see where Lyft closes today. It was selling off, and now the whole session we've been talking, it's just been pushing higher. And I think there's a lot of strength in that chart. So to me, it's not a question of if, but when that makes another move higher. And the only X factor is, if we just have an environment that's just, pretty choppy. But Ubaid, I do think, the path of least resistance in gold is higher. We put in that double bottom, which is hard to ignore. And I think you've got to be in that thing and be, able to withstand some, pretty wide swings. But it's probably a buy the dip environment in gold. Mustafa, where do you live? So I don't really, give recommendations on brokers. I'm sure there's good brokers wherever you live. Make sure they're regulated. I know Interactive Brokers, is in the United States, but I know they offer services all over the world. So you should be able to do stocks and options. Maybe not American stocks and options. I don't know about that. Usually through Interactive Brokers, IB, you should be able to. Thanks, Patrick. Appreciate your support. Um, so Bolshevik says he also likes Interactive Brokers. So yeah, I think they're the best international, probably to do US, and you can trade any instrument on the planet on their platform. So I'll look at XOM and then we'll leave it there. Walter, XOM. It's ExxonMobil. It's formed this nice double bottom. I think that, over time we'll see just a push higher. And I think you get a decent dividend on XOM. I know it's decreased because the stocks moved from 30 to 55. But, I think it may have a lot of building in this thing. But if you're long term and you want a dividend, I don't think you're going to get hurt sitting in XOM. You've had a huge push already, but I think there's probably more left in the table. So Ubaid says, "Are you born in South Africa?" I am. I know I don't sound like it, but I was born in Johannesburg a million years ago. So I am an ex-South African. So Farron says May 4th is Lyft earnings. Oh, thanks for that. I knew it was early. It was early May. So that's, you want to probably buy some calls right around that time. So Craig says, I'm having a terrible week. 5 trades down, GBP, NZD. I don't know which side you're on. Lyft, work, gold, and Canadian. How do you emotionally hold yourself trust when your losses hits your confidence so hard? So Craig, I was, I guess in the January period, I was buying Lyft when it was at $50. It had broken from 40 to 50, and it was in this trading range. And every time it kind of, peaked up, I would buy it, and then go down. And I don't know why I got out, and then I kept doing it. And I was also buying IBM at that time. I was buying IBM at 130, and then it would drop, and I did a whole bunch of things, and it just, I went through a period of, I don't know, 4-6 weeks where I think I went down 15 to 20% on my account. I just couldn't do anything right. But for me, my whole thing is finding that one trade, and then it's kind of what I'm saying is that when you kind of find these little things and you keep getting hurt is finding that one thing where it just really speaks to you, and then you can. So long story short, I was focusing on Lyft since the beginning of the year. Since the beginning of the year, I knew that I didn't want to look at Amazon and Apple and all the things that had run in the Corona. All through the break, I was thinking, how do I want to position my portfolio? Buy the Exxons, buy the Simon Property Groups, buy the very unsexy names. And then I came across this chart of Lyft. And I was telling my wife, this just looks like unbelievable, but nobody's talking about Lyft. Everyone is talking about Uber. But I was saying this chart, the whole, last 6 months has just been building this base, this double bottom. And I was watching it, and then I saw it, when it broke out, and I was watching it 48 to 50, and I was losing a whole bunch of money trading it. And then it broke from 50 all the way down to 44. And instead of saying, well, this thing's over, to me, this said, this is a gift, an opportunity. And, I know this well because I had a major surgery in New Jersey, January 26th. And, I was telling myself, look, you really can't stress out by trading. But I was also bored in my hotel room, and I had my laptop there, and I'm looking at this chart, and it had a double bottom at 44. And sometimes, like last week when I said to Mustafa and a whole bunch of people, and I feel reckless when I say it, I said last week that there was no risk in shorting QuantumScape. And I felt really bad because I'm saying this to 500 people who don't know about shorting, don't know anything about the markets. And it's, I don't want people to go and lose their life and, something like this. But I said it. I said, there's frickin' no risk. And it was the same thing when I saw lift at 44. To me, there was just like no risk. There was a double bottom. There was an inside day bar. It was everything that I look for that lined up. And so, yeah, I'd gone through that period and I was rocked. I mean, I'm in hospital there. I'm in surgery and I'm dealing with a 20% drawdown. I remember going to breakfast one day with my wife, and I never share anything with my wife because, I have the good times, but I don't want her to know about the bad times either. And I'm going to breakfast and I was bummed out. I was, just went through this. I'm down. But then, I see this thing and then, just it. I went, I put on a big position. I bought the stock, I bought the calls, then I bought more calls at, $44. And then by the end of the week, it closed at $53. So my calls were up 700% for the week. I bought them at 1, I got out at 7. And I had the shares. And then I went into the next week and rolled forward and did the same calls. And I had the stock and it went to, $65. And so on that ride, I mean, I eclipsed my losses and then some. So I guess I just have this inherent thing that the more I'm losing means that I'm getting closer to winning. And that's, pretty arrogant, but I just feel like, look, I know what I'm looking for. And what I really get down on myself for is that why do I go through these losing periods when I know what, a winning trade looks like? Why do I even bother? And that's what I'm trying to do more and more is just cut out the little stuff that eats away at you, and look and try and focus on the bigger trades. Now I realize I've got to wait more. I've got to be patient. I've got to wait for that to come to me. But that's more and more what I try and do. But in terms of confidence, I never doubt my ability and that the markets are going to show me something like maybe dollar yen. So if this dollar yen is real, we're trading at 108. So I know where the next objective is. If this thing is going to go down, the next objective is 102 and 100 and then lower. So if I get in this thing and I started to put a leg in it, last night, and I just want to see a little bit more around this area. And if this is real, then I'm going to load up and then I'm not even going to worry about it because I know where this thing is going by virtue of the chart. So, those little things that, eat away at you, first off, if you keep your risk to 0.5% to 1%, if you lose 5 trades at 0.5%, that's 2.5%. That's $250 of a $10,000 account. So it shouldn't hurt you. And then if you see that bigger trade, maybe you can, do 2% risk and then build a position. So if you get in the dollar yen now at 108, and then, kind of gives you another look at 106 and then 104 and then goes to 100, that's where you'll eclipse all of these losses. So it's just, first off, WRK is hanging around the highs. Where's WRK? Nothing really happened to that thing. It's still hanging around the highs. Gold, I don't know what, you happened there. Lift, is still, just hanging in these things. So, I don't know what you got hurt on. And it looks like your objectives are pretty short, Craig, and you're looking at things too closely. And maybe you're taking too big a risk on things. Because some of these things, if, I don't know if you should be long gold, so you shouldn't be hurt there. So Ubaid is also South African. Okay. I'm from Cape Town, but based in Dubai. My dad lives in Cape Town. So I haven't been back there for many decades. So yeah, it's just Craig, it just comes down to finding that one trade and then you're comp. But it sounds like you're either doing a couple of things. You're putting too much money on each trade and not giving enough time for, trades to work out, so I don't lose interest. So just because I was losing money when Lyft was at $50 and I was trying to buy it there. When it went down to $44, I didn't gonna say this trade's a loser, and now it's like just going down. That stock will permanently stay on my radar. Like WRK will. Because they've got inherent bull price patterns there. So it's just like I said about that streetlight analogy. Just because we see the pattern, it may not lead to the move now. It may take 3 weeks. It could take 3 months. But I know if I trust that underlying pattern, that it's going to give me a look. And so once you understand the big picture and where that thing's going long term, then even if you take a couple of losing trades in the cadence of it, you should find your way back. I mean, I lost a whole bunch of times in Lyft. But, that one time where it gave me that real thing, then, I just eclipsed all of those losses and then some. And, it's the same thing. I bought these puts early in the week, and then the 61 puts, and then I bought some more last night. And then, today I'm talking to you guys, and it's down, it's 59.75. Now we're back to 60.50. Now it's getting interesting. Now I think, so once you understand something, just because Lyft is sold off from $66 to $60, to me, I don't look at that as a crisis. I look at that as a gift. It's an opportunity, to load up on something that, is going to go there. So, it's just, I guess it's harder than it seems. For me, it's so instinctive because, I live these patterns. I breathe these patterns. So whatever I say, some people just have these education businesses and they're doing the business for money. I do my business as a sideline. I'm at a core a trader. I make all of my money in trading, and I live and breathe these patterns and these positions. And so once I see something like Lyft, it just it's in my core, it's in my DNA. And so once I feel like I can understand something, and it always rocks you. Like today, I thought Lyft was going to go in a different direction, and then as I'm speaking to you, it's going in the other direction and looking like crap. But the more and more we speak, I mean, this thing's almost $1 higher than where when I got on with you guys 40 minutes ago. So now what was looking like, crap in the morning is starting to, we're starting to get this reversal, and there's a ton of support at this 59 area. So now once I understand, that you've got your risk is about $1 away, $1.50 away, and your upside is probably $10. So now I'll probably get off on this call and keep loading up on more calls. Because I think the risk is increasingly being taken out. And once I feel like I can get an area where there's like almost no risk, or you understand where there's such a small risk for such a big upside, this is where, I just make a ton of money. Small risk, huge upside. And sometimes it just takes the market a process. Look, this Lyft has been banging for, weeks and weeks now between 59 and 65. It's been doing this thing. But the more mature that thing gets, you're getting closer and closer to that trade that's going to, take you much, much higher. And so all the little misses in between, shouldn't eat you away. And frankly, So it's just wait for the market to give you that setup. And sometimes it takes weeks and weeks. It's just like being 12, rows back of that stoplight. You just need, those cars to move before you can go. And so for me, Lyft was always on my radar. Lyft is going to go higher. I think you're going to see Lyft in the mid 70s, the mid 80s. And so it's not a question of if, but when. And so now I'm always looking for those price patterns and that price action that's going to, give me that inclination of when. And I think you're getting it right now as we're speaking. There's all these key reversals at this $59 area. Every time it goes to 59, it closed on the high. A couple of days ago, it did the same thing, went under where the low was. about 58.30, 58.40, call it. So you've got all of these lows, and then yesterday you went to 58.70 and bounced. Today you went down to 59.13. So you keep on going and mining these lows, and now you can see that there's the prior selling action is kind of giving you insurance that people are trying to push this thing down and they can't get it down. So what doesn't go down is going to go up. And the only danger now is that maybe we still, drift in this, little bit of a trading range area. But by May 4th, I think that'll be the catalyst to send this thing higher. But, this thing's going to start moving ahead of that. So I think the risk is, getting less. As we're speaking, the risk is coming out of this thing to get long. So, Craig, that's don't lose faith, man. Just wait for the market to come to you and give you one look. And I don't like to say it, but I think you could probably buy it here and put your stop under today's low, and have an incredible ride. And if you're really super aggressive, you can buy the calls for Friday or probably for next week. All right, guys. Thanks a ton. I'll see you tomorrow.